You've probably heard a lot about hormonal imbalances, right? But what if many of the health issues we face are actually symptoms of a much deeper problem? Well, today, we're going to unpack one really interesting perspective on what throws our hormones so off kilter and explore a proposed path to getting that balance back. So, first things first, what are the signs we're even talking about? According to the perspective we're digging into, the symptoms of a hormonal imbalance are actually incredibly common. So common, in fact, that a lot of us have just started to think they're a normal part of life, for both men and women. And this quote right here, it gets straight to the heart of the whole argument. It's challenging this huge assumption that things like PMS are just something you have to put up with. This viewpoint says, no, that's not normal. It's a signal that your body is out of sync. And this perspective really casts a wide net. For women, it connects the dots between things like early puberty all the way to endometriosis and fibroids, linking them back to hormones. And for men, it suggests the very same root cause for issues like low sperm count and prostate problems. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? What does balance even look like? Well, this brings us to what this source calls the ideal hormone dance, a kind of perfectly choreographed monthly cycle. So in this dance, you've got two main stars. First, there's progesterone, nicknamed the happy hormone, which is also a building block for other important hormones. And its partner is estrogen, the powerful cell proliferator, whose job it is to make things grow. And this timeline shows their dance perfectly. See, estrogen takes the lead in the first half, building everything up. But here's the absolute key moment, day 14, ovulation. That one event is what kicks off the body's main production of progesterone. Progesterone then takes over for the second act, ripening the uterine lining and boosting your mood. The takeaway? Without ovulation, that whole happy second half just doesn't happen. And to put it really simply, the source identifies this thing called the corpus luteum. It's what's left behind after an egg is released as the body's main progesterone factory. So you can see why ovulation is considered the single most important event for keeping your hormones in balance. So that's the ideal dance. But what throws it all off beat? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. This perspective points to a few key disruptors that are all around us in modern life. The central problem is given a name, estrogen dominance. And the idea here isn't just about having low progesterone. The real issue is that the ratio between the two hormones is totally out of whack, with estrogen becoming way too powerful in the body. So where is all this extra estrogen coming from? Well, the source material points a finger at three major culprits in our daily lives. Let's dig into each one. First on the list is the contraceptive pill. Now, this viewpoint argues that the pill works by essentially tricking your body into thinking it's pregnant, and that stops ovulation. And we just learned, right? No ovulation means no corpus luteum, which means your body's main progesterone factory is pretty much shut down. Next up, the food chain. This perspective argues that growth stimulants used in a lot of commercially raised animals, like chicken and meat, can introduce extra estrogens into our systems. And it even points to fish because they can be exposed to human sewage that contains synthetic hormones. And finally, there are xenoestrogens. These are chemicals you find in things like soft plastics and pesticides. Their structure is so eerily similar to our own estrogen that they can actually lock into our cells' estrogen receptors. It's like having a fake key that not only fits the lock, but can sometimes rev the engine even harder than the real one. This quote really just nails the whole argument. Estrogen is vital. We need it to build and grow things. It's a fantastic slave. But when it's no longer balanced by its partner, progesterone, when it becomes the master, that's when you get the overproliferation that can lead to so many of those symptoms we saw earlier. Okay, so that's the problem and the alleged causes. But this viewpoint doesn't just leave us there. It actually lays out a pretty clear 4-part strategy to bring everything back into balance. And here it is, the proposed 4-step game plan. Step 1, eliminate the outside sources of estrogen. Step 2, support your body's natural detox system, your liver. Step 3, stimulate your body's own progesterone production. And step 4, build a solid foundation of health with some basic lifestyle principles. So let's dive into step 2 for a second. How do you support the liver? Well, to help it clear out all that excess estrogen, this perspective recommends some specific foods and nutrients. We're talking about things like cabbage and broccoli, B vitamins, and flax seeds, which are all said to help the specific pathways that get estrogen safely out of the body.
Now, the way the wild yam cream is said to work is pretty fascinating. The argument is that it doesn't actually contain progesterone itself. Instead, it supposedly provides a plant compound that stimulates your body's own pathways to make more of its own progesterone. So it's about working with your body, not just overriding it.
I think the most powerful takeaway here is this fundamental shift in thinking. It suggests that maybe many of our hormonal issues aren't because our bodies are broken. Maybe it's our bodies reacting perfectly to a really unnatural modern environment. And from that point of view, finding balance is about changing the environment, not just treating the symptom. And so this whole perspective leaves us with one final powerful question to think about. It's not just about hormones, it's about awareness. How might the modern world, everything from the food in our fridge to the plastics in our kitchen, be silently influencing that delicate, crucial dance that's happening inside our bodies right now?